It's about getting into schools and talking to young people because, you know, I know that people can change. And it's about talking to people and getting them to understand and perhaps step back from violence and prejudice and whatever. And we just need to work together and keep on the good fight there.
Absolutely. Hey there, guys. We are ecstatically happy to announce that we are associated with the Sophie Lancaster Foundation.
The times are changing, and with the unfortunate death of Sophie, those changes have made a massive impact for the future. If Sophie was with us still today, I can guarantee what you are doing will still be reaching so many lives of young teenagers, young adults, and those who wish to be as different as possible. So thank you very much.
To find out more about this incredible foundation and all the work they do, and more importantly, how you can help, head on over to www.sophielancasterfoundation.com.
Hi, this is Olivia Hyde, and you are listening to the Chronicles of Podcast with Tom and Jamie.
Jamie.
Hello.
It's a very special New Year's edition of the Piece of Resistance.
It is. He's got his party hat on. He's got his fireworks ready to go.
He's been setting off. He's got his sparklers going.
He's practicing the words of Old Lang Syne.
Exactly. Oh, what a tune. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Chronicles of Olivia Hyde. Olivia is the front lady for Bad Polyanna. They're currently on a break. Don't worry, they're on hiatus. They will be back. She is an independent artist and singer-songwriter. She has currently written a song called An Open Letter to Death, which I believe that you should be checking out right now. Oh, wait. It's about 5 minutes, isn't it? We can give them 5 minutes. It's fine. Yeah. So, how's the wife? All right?
She's all right.
Good.
Bit of a cough, but she's all right.
Oh, nice. As long as she's okay. Welcome back, guys. And hopefully you enjoyed An Open Letter to Death. Hopefully you enjoyed that mother lover. And welcome to these Chronicles of Olivia. She is a wonderful northern human. It's my favourite thing about this interview. It's just how northern. It just reminded me of being home again, like turning to my parents. It was just.
It's what I love about this. Your love for this episode is simply not because of the beautiful things she says, not because of her hard work and dedication, not because of her amazing 12-foot dog, but for the fact that she's northern.
Yeah, well, northerners are better than southerners, aren't they? So it's just the way it is. It's just a lot
Move
nicer.
towards that fucking moor, then.
So yeah, this was a beautiful interview, beautiful stories. Obviously, sadly, Olivia lost her father, which is obviously what An Open Letter to Death is all about. And she introduced us to her other half as well, who lovingly directs and films some of the videos. They did some videos during lockdown and whatnot in their house as well. So yeah, but yeah, Olivia was just an absolutely wonderful person to talk to. She was so lovely.
So Tom said she's a singer-songwriter, which absolutely is, but I just like to call her an artist because it goes beyond the song. The video is like a mini movie.
Yeah,
the song is an accompany to, and she did all the costumes, she did all the casting. She directed it. It literally is this art piece designed and put together by this one powerhouse of a woman, and it is absolutely incredible to check out. And the story behind it is beautiful. And it's just amazing when you see someone that's so passionate about a project. They're just like, I'm going to throw everything I have at this. And it paid off. It is absolutely incredible. Obviously, we originally reached out to Olivia because she, as Tom mentioned, is the vocalist and for Bad Polyanna, and Bad Polyanna released a single called Invincible Girl. There was an official charity single for the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, and they raised a ton of money for her as well. So it was amazing to talk to her about that, about how they got involved with the foundation and all about Sophie's message. So yeah, this is a delight.
Wonderful. Jamie!
Hello.
Any final words?
Just Olivia, thank you very much. And never give up because your mindset is beautiful.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, interviewing this week an incredible woman who is the front lady for Bad Polyanna, an absolutely incredible artiste, singer-songwriter of An Open Letter to Death. It's Olivia Hyde.
Hello everyone, today we welcome a very special guest into the chateau. Today's guest is an amazing singer-songwriter, formerly with the band Bad Polyanna, but now performing solo. Here to talk all about her new single and masterpiece, An Open Letter to Death. A woman who I learned recently can do a cracking cover of Alone by Heart. Ladies and gents, these are the Chronicles of Olivia Hyde.
Hey. So it just so that the Bad Polyanna fans are having a meltdown right now. It's not that we're officially never doing anything again. Don't worry. It's just I'm focusing on this for now, but I'm not formally in Bad Polyanna. Okay,
I do apologise. I wasn't 100%.
I could just imagine my husband. Shit, where was I? No. It might seem like it at the moment, but it is my intention to go back and finish the third album. It's just that this is something that's been wanting to come out for a while, and I seem to be absolutely powerless to stop it, even though it's terrible for my mental health. But doing it anyway. But that's being an artist at the end of the day, so I'm not complaining.
So, Olivia, how was your pandemic season? Because obviously it's still going on, so I kept being like 18 months, 19 months, 20. So yeah, how was your last 2 years been?
Well, if just to be completely honest, I do very well in lockdowns because you might not think this to see me on stage, but I'm not necessarily the most sociable of people. I actually find this over and over again with musicians and artists, that people assume that they're very extroverted. But where I'm sat right now, this is my studio. I've got my piano adjacent and my little heater, my notebook, my Logic sessions, and my cats and my dog. And so not that much changed. The only things that changed were, I didn't get to see my friends and family as much as I would have liked. I wasn't gigging. But no, I do very well in lockdowns because I'm used to being by myself with my pets and my music and my art. Me and my partner made Blood and Rust in lockdown. We gave ourselves this challenge of making a video in lockdown with no cast, no crew, no locations, very, very little money. We had 20 from Bad Polyanna to do a whole albums with the demos that until that point were very half-baked. And sorry, we had to cut because of bad internet, but I got to the point where I said that we did Blood and Rust in lockdown. So yeah, we gave ourselves a challenge of making a video just in our home with 20 quid, no extra costumes or locations. We just had to work with what we had. And we had a blast doing that. But yeah, it's like, and it's going to sound awful. And I don't mean to make light of what other people go through in lockdown. I mean, Blood and Rust was literally about somebody going mad with isolation in lockdown. But yeah, I do pretty well by myself because I'm on my own most of the time anyway with my music and my animals and my videos. So that's doing really okay.
That's amazing. What did the 20 quid get spent on in the end?
£10 on grey body paint for Andre, who played the personification of loneliness. I like to anthropomorphize complex things in my work. It's something I do a lot. So he was the personification of loneliness. And then £5 on some flowers that we set fire to, and £5 for the black bath bomb. That was it.
That's amazing.
But obviously, whilst you were locked away and whatever else, other than doing what you do, your music and whatnot, did you teach yourself or learn a new skill at all? Or
did I? Well, I guess so. But it's weird in my head. The two things aren't connected because very little about my day-to-day changed. But yes, something. Yeah, absolutely. In Bad Polyanna, Nikki was the primary arranger. So I would sometimes write the songs, he would sometimes write the songs, sometimes we'd write the songs together, but he would always arrange them. I would always do the lyrics and he would weigh in. But with the arrangement, he would always do the arrangement and I would weigh in. And obviously when Paul joined the band, he contributed to the arrangement as well. But then when it was my music, I don't know anybody who could arrange things the way that I wanted them arranged. So I had to teach myself. I had to teach myself orchestral arrangement. So I bought Logic Pro in January. And since then, the Ghost of Stalls Hall, for instance, is probably the best example, but that song is on my EP, and that's a whole orchestra. So now it's, generally speaking, my arrangements are piano, strings, and some orchestral instruments. So yeah, although again, the two things in my head aren't related. It's more that, okay, I need to learn how to do this now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to learn how to do it. It's a bit like with making my films. You know, originally that's how that started. I can't pay a director every time I want to make a music video, I tell a story or bring this song to life. I'm just gonna have to learn how to do it myself. So I did, but then I kept coming across things that I couldn't do. You know, like I would look back on, I shouldn't really do this. Andre tells me off for doing this. If Andre was here now, he'd say, stop doing that thing. But publicly critique my own work. Like when I look at Hollow, the first video that I sort of co-directed, I realized the cinematography wasn't very good. And it wasn't my co-director's fault either. The cinematography was shit. And he was not really in it for the creativity. He was in it for a paycheck. And frankly, he was a total banker. And I was really telling that to his face. He shot it like TV, wide, medium, close up. No imagination, no the camera moving in a particular way to tell a certain story. There was no thought at all. And yeah, it was one of those things of like, why is that shit? Why is that shit? And then I thought, well, I can't direct music videos if I can't talk to the DOP in a language they understand and understand how to tell a story with the camera. Thank you, sweetheart. Speak of the devil, I was just talking about you. Yeah. Now a doggy. Uncle, come sit with me.
I'm going to assume it wasn't the dog that brought you the cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That's Andre. So Andre is the DOP that I work with on a regular basis, and he loves me, so that works. You know,
Massive win.
But yeah, it was just like, I'm going to have to learn this in order to do what it is that I want to do. It's as simple as that. Who knows what the next thing might be that I have to learn how to do? Oh, I'm on a new thing actually. Yeah, shit. I'm learning how to do screenwriting because with Ghost of Stalls Hall, we want to do that as a short story because it's about the people that were locked up in asylums that by today's standards never would have been, or even seen the inside of a doctor's surgery. Gay people being, trans people being something, you know, people that stand out there. And Clive, who's death in the video, Clive Russell, he's going to play like a doctor that's haunted by the people that he knows that society let down. And I'm going to have help. I happen to be best friends with she's actually pretty much a world famous writer. And she's going to help me. But yeah, it's just, I want to do this. I want to make this. I'm going to have to learn this thing. So get your big girl pants on, Olivia.
We love talking to people like that, though. You know, it's, I want to do this. Oh, no one's going to do it for me. I'll do it myself. Sorted. Teach me a skill. Yeah. Let's go. I love that attitude.
That's the advice I give over and over again to people, because I teach performance and songwriting, and I'm always, because it's very important to me to facilitate creativity in other people. That's something that I really massively value. And I just say, if I could give you one piece of advice, it would just be, give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself permission to be shit. You know, just get on with it. It's you know, the first time you do it, it's never going to be any good, no matter what it is. So what are you waiting for? You know, you've got to wade through that shit regardless. So if you really want to do it, just crack the fuck on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everyone starts somewhere.
People who don't like it. So my dog is getting, what do you want? Come on, come sit with me. Why are you looking at me like that?
We need to go outside and play is what we need to do.
But that's exactly what that look means.
It's dark and I'm cold and I'm talking to strangers on the internet.
Yeah.
Go harass your dad.
Yeah.
No, but go back to what you're just saying, look, practice makes perfect. That's an expression for a reason. You keep trying until you get it perfect.
Yeah, it's why I'm so shit at talking to people. I don't practice.
And also, it's better that you don't. I hate relying on people. I hate relying on other people to do bits and pieces. Where you're waiting for something, you can't progress because you're still waiting for that certain thing. So being able to do it yourself, spot on.
Yeah, but even if then you are in a position where you can hire someone to do that for you, you can talk to them in their language as well. Then yeah.
So take us back. When little Miss Hyde will say, what was your original plan for your career? Was it always music, or did that just like a hobby that took off?
No, it is. I'd say it's a relatively interesting story, actually. When I was a little kid, my dad was he was a musician. He played piano, he sang, he played guitar, he wrote. And because I was a kid, it never occurred to me to make excuses for the fact that I wanted to sing, I wanted to dance, I wanted to write songs, I wanted to act. I was a little creative powerhouse when I was a kid, getting my little grubby fingers into everything I was, and I loved it. Somewhere along the line, and I see this in kids, I see them in my stepkids and try to stop it. Life just kind of stamps it out of you, doesn't it? It's awful. It's like, who do you think you are? And well, that's not very good. And you have to commit to this, and slowly but surely, because I didn't have the maturity as a child, I just kind of lost heart with it and ended up being a normal teenager, in the sense of just living for going out with my friends. And then, somewhere, definitely it was influenced by the fact that my dad died, which is why I'm doing this project now. Something just kind of clicked in me. I watched this program where someone asked the question, what would you do if success was guaranteed? What would you do if it was just purely out of love? What would you do, with your time if you won the lottery? And it was just a weird, clear moment for me. The answer was the same for each. I was just like, well, I'd want to make music, I'd want to sing, I'd want to dance. And before this, I was actually a full-time professional self-employed model. And I was already learning that I enjoyed the performance aspect. I enjoyed the theatre of putting together an outfit and a scene and telling a story with my body, with my face, with my costume, with my location. But I also knew that I really wasn't making me very happy, So I just thought, okay, well, if I don't have to see the end result, what's the first thing I would do? I thought, okay, so if I wanted to be that person, what's the first thing I'd do? And I thought, okay, well, I guess the first thing I'd do would be I would start working on my singing again, because I used to sing. I used to sing all the time. I used to really enjoy singing. So I need to start singing again. Okay, well, what's the step after that? Start writing songs again. Okay, what's the step after that? Okay, right. Once I've got a few songs that I like, what I can do is I can reach out for other band members. And what's the step after that? Well, we'll rehearse. What's the step after that? We get our first gig. And all of a sudden, this ridiculous dream of me being on a stage, fronting a band, singing my own songs, I realized, like, hang on a minute, I could have a plan here. It doesn't, I don't have to win a fucking quiz. I can go out and I can make it happen, So it took a long time, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't like, oh, okay, now I'm going to do that. I battled with demons, with insecurities, with practicalities. But that's ultimately what happened. This is what I wanted to do as a kid. But then somewhere along the line, life and society just battered it out of me. But then as an adult, with my mature brain and mature body, I was like, hang on a fucking second. I used to love doing this. Why did I stop? And that was, over a decade ago now, and I haven't looked back.
That's amazing. I love that though. It's chasing your dream. You get, as Tom likes to say quite often, you get one life, you get one chance at life. Do what you want to do. Absolutely love it. So you clearly have, like, from your videos and the way you talk about everything, you clearly have this passion for art of all types. Yeah. Where does that passion come from? Is that from your dad, or is that from just a variety of places?
The music side of things is definitely my dad's influence, without a doubt, because my dad was just as passionate about music as me. He was a brilliant pianist, brilliant guitarist, fantastic songwriter, great singer. He loved to sing, he loved to dance, he loved to play. You know, without a doubt, the musical passion came from him. As for the other side of things, film especially, I sort of don't know, actually. No, there was never one person that influenced me to want to make my own films. I guess I've always, when I'm writing a song, I'm often seeing the music video in my head. You know, I'm quite a visual thinker like that. I just see these weird things in my head. And I don't know, actually, if I had to really sit down and think about it. I can tell you one little anecdote, though, that was quite strange. I was going through a pretty awful breakup, and I was feeling terribly depressed. And I had directed and done music videos before, but it was mainly out of like necessity. And I didn't know what to do next. I was thinking, how can I help myself? How can I drag myself out of this emotional hell? And I was watching V for Vendetta, and I think that film is fucking great. I just loved it. I know it's not for everybody. Luckily, I hadn't read the graphic novel, so I had nothing to compare it to, because I know it rubbed some people of the graphic novel up a bit the wrong way, but I didn't have it to compare it to. There's that scene where with the dominoes, and I just sat there and thought, how many brilliant, amazing, talented people have had to work as a team in order for that scene to happen. So you've got obviously the cast, who are absolutely world class. The director, underneath the director, you've got the DOP, the production designer. Underneath the DOP, you've got the camera operators. You've got the lighting, the people who are in charge of setting up the tracks. You've got the people who were, the runners looking after everybody. On the design side, you've got the production design, you've got the art directors, you've got the prop masters, you've got the costume, you've got the makeup, you've got then in post-production, you've got the editor, you've got the color grader. And I just sat there and thought, just, wow, I want to be a part of that team, and it just popped into my head. Study production design, study film, go and study film and production design. And that's what I did. I went to Brighton and got a qualification in production design. And again, it was just like, well, what do I have to learn in order to do this thing I want to do? Learn production design. I'll go and do that then. And then, from there, I learned about really what a director actually does, which surprises most people. And we've got a couple of interns at the moment, and I asked them what they thought a director did. And I mean, they're only 20, but fucking hell, their answers were adorable. Well, it's the person that tells people where to stand. And if people have to come on and off, the director tells them to come on and off. I'm like, oh dear God, that's really not true. Bless them. They are absolutely lovely. But a lot of people have a misconception of what it is a director does and what the different people on the team do. And that is where I realized I'm really interested in production design, but really ultimately I'm a director. So no, I've got no idea. There wasn't one person. It was just a love of film, a love of music meets film. And so it just popped into my head, like, I want to do that.
Awesome. Is that why you did with the music videos then? Because you direct, produce, and star in them?
Well, here's the thing. I don't intend on starring in all my music videos. The only time, it's been up until now, it's been a necessity. It's, again, don't mistake kind of like a lack of a budget for people, for me wanting to do everything. I mean, with Open Letter, for instance, and with pretty much everything we've done so far, I produced it, I wrote it, I directed it, I starred in it, but I was also the production designer. Before we got Annalise as the head of costume, I did costume. She's incredible, but we didn't find her till later. So at that point, I'd already sourced half the costumes. I didn't have a set dresser. I dressed the sets downstairs in my house. I did all my own storyboards. I did all my own shot lists. I did my own scheduling. They would all be the jobs of other people. You'd have a props master sorting the props, a whole costume department sorting that out, a whole art department sorting out the sets. The director ideally would just be liaising between the departments to make sure the vision is coherent. I do not like the production side of things. I don't like doing my own schedules. Jesus Christ, it would be the happiest day of my life when I've got I can pay an assistant director to do the schedules and the shot lists and all that kind of thing. Yeah. It's not a control thing. It's not, I must be in it. I must direct.
I am the star.
I'm the star, darling. If it goes to Stork Hall, I don't intend to be in, because Clive's the star of that one. The next music video, I'm going to be in it as a performer on the piano, but the lead characters are actually going to be real bereaved people lip syncing the lyrics to Empty Bed. And yes, most people go, fuck, when I say that, but that's the next project.
Yeah,
Death of a Dream, I'm not in. I feel a connection with that character, with who I called Rachel, because it's my middle name, because she isn't me, but there's a connection. So I'll be in Our Final Kiss, which is the thing I'm working on with Clive at the moment. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, if Andrew Arnold came along and said, I want to direct your next music video, I would just be, a mess on the floor in joy, and obviously. But she's not going to do that, because we can't afford the 10 grand a day she probably charges. And before now, I haven't necessarily had access to the kind of actors that I would. It's better to, because I am an experienced actor, it's better for me to do it than to hire someone straight out of uni. It's, you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
And in the same way, like with the production design, there's a professional production designer is going to wipe the floor with me, but a student who is less qualified than I am, I'm not going to hand my project over to that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So no, the credits listing is almost like, oh God, I bet people think I am such a fucking, control maniac. But I'm not. It really is. It's about budget. It's about the fact that I'm an independent artist. I'm totally self-funded. There's nobody in a suit giving me money. I've got to wear a lot of hats.
DIY.
Yeah, and it will be the happiest day in my freaking life when I come to do a music video and say, okay, I've got to have a meeting with all these different heads of department, and then I'm going to let them do their fucking job and let them do it better than me, because they will. That'll be the happiest day of my life.
It will come.
You lot sort that out. I'm going to go fuss my dog. Sort it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm not trying to blow smoke or anything. Your voice is incredible and it's powerful. And you can feel the emotion in your voice when you sing your lyrics. Did you train to be a singer, or is that like natural talent?
No, I trained like a motherfucker. I trained for years. Yeah. When I had that moment of, I want to be in a band, I want to be an artist, I want to be a singer. And I thought, I used to sing, and I used to really enjoy it. I was all right. I had a nice tone to my voice. I had a natural pitch. I had I often say to people, I arrange this big, and that's because in my head, I'm on the piano. This means nothing to the average person. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Arrange this big. It only means something to like people who know that a piano is. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't have much of a range. No, I trained. I invested a lot in brilliant teachers. At one point, I practiced for an hour pretty much every single day. You can ask Nikki Continent, if we were going shopping, I would just put my workout on in the car and I would do my vocal workout. There's this, there's this mystical thing around singing that people think you either can do it or you can't. And if you can, yay. But if you don't, if you can't, don't embarrass yourself by trying, It's not true. You can train your voice. And I have. You don't wake up in the morning and go, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. That's like saying, you wake up in the morning and do the splits. You train, it really is. I remember somebody I saw in a TV movie kind of thing, this opera singer said, nobody can sing bel canto without lessons. God does not allow it. And I thought, oh, I'm stealing that. Not that I even believe in God, really, or at least I don't believe in a God that grants you the power of singing. But I love that line. No, I absolutely trained everything that if somebody's watching this and if you consider me good at anything ever, I've worked at it. None of it was given to me. And like I said, take my advice, let yourself be shit at it, get the right help, get mentors, get teachers, but don't think you have to be like naturally brilliant at something. My first video was fucking shit. It was just awful. It's not even online anymore. I took it down because because it's that bad. But I know what I learned something. I learned so much. Okay, why didn't that work? And with singing, you try a certain note, it doesn't work. You try again, you figure it out. So yeah, natural in the sense of I could already sing a bit, but no, I trained to do what I do.
For some reason, I'd had an image in my head of you waking up and just be doing the splits going, holy shit, oh my God, look at this, fuck me.
Yeah.
Doing the splits while singing. Showing off now.
Indeed.
So when I was doing my research on yourself and Bad Polyanna, there's something I saw, like a statement, and I was intrigued on some context because I've never seen Bad Polyanna live. It said that you brought like a character to life on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? Do you literally have like this character in the show that wasn't you, if that makes sense?
I used to get this question a lot, actually, and the answer's relatively complex and it might surprise you, but people often say, oh, you have a persona on stage. And I absolutely understand why people would use that word, because I'm very much not like I am on stage. With Bad Polyanna, sometimes I think I could, when I've seen pictures of myself on stage, I'm like, God, she's fucking terrifying. Shit. Like, what a scary bitch. Sometimes, other times when I've seen myself on stage, it's like, oh gosh, where did that come from? That's really intense. Even when I was looking back at the footage from Open Letter, especially the stuff with me and Clive, it was like, wow, holy shit, that is really intense. Fuck. So I understand why people use the word persona, because when I'm not doing that, I'm not like that. I don't. Some people have said I'm eccentric or intense or madder than a box of frogs or a raging weirdo, But I don't necessarily think that I'm like that. I'm pretty boring, I like to walk my dog. I like to write my songs, so I can totally understand why people would see that it's like a persona thing. And it's something that I struggle with, having these two very different sides of me. And I've written about it. I've made films about it and will continue to, but it's not a persona. It's not. It absolutely isn't. There is no part of me that says I'm going to wear this hat now. It just doesn't happen that way. It's like I've written a song with a story in mind, and there's a character within the story, but it's just me expressing that character and that story in that song. And frankly, I feel more myself when I'm on stage or I'm performing in a lot of ways than I do at any other point. So to say it's a persona would be very misleading, because that would imply that, okay, I'm stepping into this person now and being this. It really doesn't feel like that at all. It just feels like a very natural thing. If the song is sad, if you're committing to the song, then naturally it's going to be very, very sad if you're committing to what the emotional content of the song. At the same time, if the song is about, say, for instance, like with Bad Polyanna, having been made a monstrous robot doll, accidentally killing somebody because you love them by ripping their insides out. Again, it's logical for that character. It's very, very intense, but yeah, it feels very natural. It doesn't feel like I've got a persona now.
That's fair enough. It's the way it was worded in that thing. I was like, does she put on a performance like she's a different person? I was like, I'm intrigued.
Absolutely
now.
not. No, they're all made just different facets. It never feels like a persona. It never feels like I'm being somebody other than myself.
So now there's one thing we definitely need to talk about is you may have noticed the signs above us. So that side for me, Invincible Girl, a song that you released with Bad Polyanna for the Sophie Lancaster Foundation.
Yeah.
That's, it's a charity we work with as well. Where did the idea to do this song come from?
Okay, so basically, it might surprise you to know that we'd already written Invincible Girl. It was actually inspired again by my dad's death. It's the most profound thing that's ever happened to me, and it was basically about how it was me acknowledging that the irony, that the fact that you can hold these two very contrasting ideas in your hand, that that what's happened to you is always going to be shit. It's always going to be awful. You're always going to wish it never happened. In my case, that, I'm never going to be glad my dad died, but on the other, you cannot deny that it's that stuff that shapes who you are as a person. Like, I cannot deny that if my dad hadn't died, I would be a completely different person. I may never have pursued music. I may never have sung, played piano, because it was my dad's death that catapulted that. And I thought that's the same for everybody. The irony of the worst things that have happened to you, that you would readily have had that not happen, are often the things that shapes you. So I had this idea for a song, Invincible Girl, Invincible Girl, but everything about it would be very fragile, Julian Kinniston, who owned Illamasqua at the time, worked with the Sophie Lancaster Foundation very closely, had been looking for a song that he felt really got across what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation was about. So we heard it and said, how would you feel about us using it? And I thought, well, and I've said this on stage many times, so I'm only repeating what I've said in the past now. When I learned about Sylvia Lancaster, as far as I was concerned, this was her song. Like, I know people associate it with Sophie, but I associate it with the Sophie Lancaster Foundation and Sylvia, because Sylvia is the Invincible Girl. If I'm sure if she could wave a magic wand, she'd just have Sophie back, obviously.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But the fact is, that did happen, and she had a choice. She could either hate and be bitter forever, or sink into depression, or she could make it mean something. And she's taken the worst thing that's ever happened to her and made it into something that's really beautiful, that's making other people's lives easier and other people's lives better, bringing people together. And I just think that she is 10 times the rock star I'll ever be for that reason. I really do have so much respect for her. We did write Define Me, inspired by the Sophie Lancaster Foundation and what they do. But no, the song did come first. It was more that when we were offered the deal, like, how would you feel about this becoming Sophie Lancaster's official single, that I could just see so clearly how it was right and that we really wanted to do that.
That's amazing.
Stunning.
And you're absolutely right about Sylvia. The woman is a rock star. We had her on this show, and after we'd finished talking to her, we were just like, wow, this woman is incredible.
I was humbled when I met Sylvia. I've met her twice. No, 3 times, but once properly, like on the shoot for the video. And yeah. I was humbled, and I don't ever remember meeting anyone and feeling genuinely like humbled. Like I met Trent Reznor backstage at a Nine Inch Nails gig once, and I smiled at him. I went, I gave him the respectful nod. I didn't feel like, oh my God. You know, even though I absolutely adore Trent Reznor's music, I've got so much respect for him as an artist. I think he is a bona fide genius. I still didn't feel humbled when I met him, you know, like, wow, I am in the presence of someone who is pretty like superhuman. I did with Sylvia. Absolutely.
That's a quote I'm using for the show now. Sylvia Lancaster, better than Trent Reznor.
Yeah.
So what was it about the foundation and Sophie's story in Mono that stood out to you? Were you like an alternative goth kid growing up?
No, not really growing up. Growing up in when I was in high school, I was in one of the top performing girls' grammar schools in the country.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's all about the league tables. And my friends were pretty nice, and I actually wrote a whole article about this. Everyone agreed that I was just a little bit off. You know, and it was more the teachers actually that stamped out the "who do you think you are." My friends, as much as I realised I've got a teenage trans stepson. I know what vicious little shits teenagers can be. But my experience, I'm still best friends with the person I'm best friends with them. My best friend Lauren, we've been best friends for 26, 27 years now. But yeah, it was a bit like, where did you get that outfit? Like, but my friends would say, Liv, where do you find these songs? Where do you find these bands? Where on earth did you get that outfit? But they just thought it was like I was their eccentric black sheep friend. It was the teachers that were very judgmental. But it was in college that I found the alternative scene, and I felt like it was the scene I'd been looking for my whole life. And yes, people stare and people say horrible things, and like I remember once a friend of mine, Emma, she brought a friend from work who was, one of the normal people, if you like. And she thought it was just so much fun to hang out with the goths and the weirdos and the metalheads. And she thought it was great. Until afterwards, we all go to McDonald's because it's 2:00 in the morning and we're a bit drunk and we're hungry. So that's what you do. And people were, saying the things they say. It's not fucking Halloween, fucking hell, like that kind of thing. Yeah. Halloween's not till next month. You'd be fit if you didn't have black hair. You'd be fit if you got a tan. These are real things people have said to me. Fucking goth star Barbie here. Oh, that's another one. Someone said to me once. And Emma's friend, and I get it, was really pissed off. She was like, she was a bit drunk as well. She was like, who the fuck do you think you're fucking talking to? Fuck off with you, goth, fuck off, right? Who does he think he's fucking talking to? And I realised at that point that everybody in our group zoned it out. And I thought, this isn't normal, is it?
No.
Do you get what I mean? It's like, we didn't react. We were just like, because that was just Saturday night for us. That's what happens. When you're in McDonald's and you're surrounded by normal people and everyone's a bit drunk, people say nasty shit. It's like, just zone it out. If we'd said, what the fuck? Every time somebody called you a mosher or a goth or a weirdo, that's all you'd ever do. And it was a little bit of a moment, actually. I sort of said to her, sorry, do you think that we're not used to it? She was like, well, it's fucking rude. And she was absolutely so offended on our behalf. And it was just, like I said, it was just a moment like, this isn't normal, is it? It's not normal for people to just spout abuse at you in public.
I know it's funny because I completely agree with what you're saying. I know it. I went through it all myself. But at the same time, when you look back at it, you think that's really bad. People shouldn't just be expecting it now and just be like, whatever, it's a Friday.
Yeah.
It's horrible when you think back on it.
Yeah, it is. Ugh. So, yeah, I get it.
They were just jealous that they couldn't look that way. That's all it is. They're just fucking jealous.
I mean, honestly, I think it's more sinister than that, really. I mean, this is probably a deeper conversation than this podcast requires, but I often genuinely just feel sorry for people like that. There's, nobody who says things like that to people in public. Nobody, they don't look in the mirror in the morning and say, "Isn't life great? The world's my oyster. I can be whoever I want to be." They don't do that. I mean, I say that to my stepkids a lot when they have to deal with bullies. It's like, I'm not saying it's okay, but the happy, confident people do that, because I don't think they do.
No,
not at all. Not at all.
I'm not saying it's right, but no.
Right, so let's talk about An Open Letter to Death. Now, before I even watched this video, just seeing like your social media posts and whatnot, I could tell you've put your heart and your soul into this song and video. Please tell people who aren't aware, please tell people what it's about.
So it's about, in a nutshell, it's inspired by the loss of my dad, but it's about my ever-changing, ever-evolving, but always very, very complicated relationship with death. I sat down at the piano one day and thought, what would I say to death if I could really say something to him? And I thought, what would most people say to death? And it occurred to me that most people aren't necessarily afraid of death. They're afraid of being cheated out of life. Like when my grandma died, she was in her 80s, and I went to a funeral and I sang at her funeral and I cried, but I very quickly got over it, because it was just, she'd lived her life. She didn't have any regrets. But when my dad died, he died from industrial poisoning. And so he was basically killed by corporate greed. He was killed because somebody didn't check the asbestos, because they didn't have the health and safety that they did then. So I was really fucking angry. And it's why the death of a child is so tragic. It's that I think that's what most people are afraid of, is having their time just cruelly and senselessly cut short, and that of their loved ones. So it was very much just me imagining, death's right here, what would I say? I'd say, look, I know that I'm going to die, and I'm okay with it. In fact, I'm happy to die, because being mortal is what gives life meaning. So please don't think I'm not grateful for what you bring to the table, but if you could not be like a cunt, that'd be great.
I felt awful laughing at the end of that, but that was just like,
leave my fucking family alone. All right, leave them alone, leave me alone, leave my best friend alone, and honestly, if you can do that, it's not that I don't want to die. I know I'm going to die. It's fine, and everybody I love is going to die, but just don't make it horrible. Don't make it like a horrible illness, or dying in an alley because I've been attacked or something like that. Just let me and my family just die with dignity. And again, that got quite deep quite quickly, but what are you gonna do? And it was it's about watching the reactions of the people around me to bereavement as well, and how people react differently. But the video is basically that. It's me seeing all these awful ways that people are coping with the reality of death, and my character also going down a dark path. And then it's just like, enough is enough. I mean, look at what not facing death is doing to all of these people. So my character decides they're not just going to take death mask off and look at him, they're actually going to dance with him.
It is a very powerful video.
Thank you.
I was just, it's one of those where, as I was watching it, was going like, you just like get so transfixed. And like, I just completely forgot where I was for the whole 5.5 minutes, however long. I was just completely transfixed by it. Absolutely incredible. And the dance scene as well is unbelievable.
It was very intense. Yeah, it was great. And afterwards, me and Clive came back, and I think we were actually like sat on this sofa and just like drank a lot. Wine down. Like, I think he drank a whole bottle of wine and I drank a whole bottle of Prosecco, because it was just, it was pretty intense.
Did you get proper lost in the moment of it?
Definitely.
So that's what makes it like stunning.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And it really helped that I really clicked with Clive and bonded with him, because I just trusted him, so that was really helpful. And obviously it goes without saying that the team, it could not have been done without the team. It was such a team effort. It was a really genuinely beautiful experience, actually. Not necessarily at the time when you're doing it, because there's so much pressure and you've got a shot list and you've got a schedule. But even then I was thinking, oh, this is going to be so good. And we had the cast and crew premiere here a few weeks ago, and it was just lovely to see everybody and hug them and enjoy the moment together. Yeah. It's teamwork. It's all teamwork.
That's amazing. And obviously, we should say as well, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
That is fucking terrible that, what happened. But I'm sure he's looking down now going like fucking proud. Like, yes, that is incredible. And I'm excited to see what's to come, to be honest with you, after that.
Yeah. Well, I've got all kinds of plans.
So I struggle to even call it a song, to be honest, because it felt like a performance piece, a piece of art. It's like the song's just part of this piece of art that the video goes along, and then there's the backstory to it, and it just encompasses. It's a beautiful piece of art. It really is.
Thank you. Well, that is really what I'm trying to do. Really, is I'm trying to be an artist rather than just a singer-songwriter. And I'm trying to, with this project, really bring together all the threads of what I do. So the finished project will be music videos, short films, but there'll also be an interactive element. I'm doing a workshop called An Open Letter to Death, which is going to be a free online workshop that people can come and for free and be guided by somebody who knows what they're doing, not me. Somebody who her name's Rachel. Her company Creative Map, they help people with their mental health using creativity. So people are going to be in really good hands. The dog's seen something outside, sorry.
I just thought he was doing a cover though.
Bungle, shut up. So she's going to guide people through writing their own open letter to death in the morning, and then in the afternoon people are going to be invited to create a piece of art on the theme of the project, of course, for the project, and they can send it in and it will be displayed on the website. So yeah, I'm trying to do something that really encompasses everything that I love, and that includes facilitating creativity in other people. So yeah, so I'm glad you said that, because that's what I'm trying to do. Bungle, sit with me, you silly dog. You can't go play with the fox. The fox does not want to play with you, Bungle. He's dying to play with the fox. Come on, silly dog.
So is the plan to do all the songs off this project in this style?
Yes, in the sense of the style being sort of creepy fairy tale for grown-ups. But no, it won't all take place in sort of the same universe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Empty Bed, like I said, is a study of bereavement using real bereaved people. Death of a Dream is a different universe. Clive may even be in that one. I'm going to ask him next week, but he might not be right for it. It might just be better to just have him as Death. But yeah, that's a different universe, if you like. That's different characters. But yeah, Live for Me. I want to do one for Final Kiss. They will be sort of in the same universe. So no, in the sense of they're not all going to be set in the same universe, but yes, in the sense that, the aesthetic is going to carry through.
Yeah. So obviously you mentioned directing music videos in the past and whatnot, but with this one, because it's such a personal story and so much of your heart and soul, was it a completely different experience to ones you've done in the past?
No, not really. No. I guess, well, now you mention it, yeah, maybe in some ways, but no, in the sense of, it's like, I think it's my 9th or 10th music video, And me and Andre, both of us, were like, this is going to be the best thing we've ever done. There is no doubt about it, because we are going to look at all the things that we've done in other music videos. Andre and I have made 5 together. It's like, what worked, what didn't, you know? So as director for this one, it was different in the sense of, you know, mistakes I've made in the past, and I'm making sure I'm not making them. I kept saying to myself over and over again, this is the storyline, this is the narrative, this is the theme, and make it absolutely crystal clear. So it felt different just because I felt more experienced. I felt like, you know, I'd made enough at that point to be like, yeah, I know what I'm doing now, and this is going to be the best thing I've ever done. So there. Yeah.
So a question I like to ask all artists / musicians is music videos. Do you enjoy making them, or do you absolutely hate it?
Well, if I just had to show up and stand where somebody told me and do a thing and be in a music video, I probably really enjoy it. There is a lot of standing around, I think, that people don't realize about film sets. There's an awful lot of standing and sitting around. But because I'm always the producer and director, it's a very different experience for me.
Yeah.
Blood and Rust, Andre and I just had an absolute blast, because it was just the two of us. So we had no schedule, no shot list. It was just us. When we did Hookline, we had a lot of fun doing that because it was so silly. And I was playing all these different weird comedy characters and stuff. And we had a right giggle. But when we did one for Pair of Fools that we didn't release because lockdown meant that we couldn't do the reshoots that we needed to do, we couldn't finish it. That was a horrible experience from start to fucking finish, because even just at the beginning of the day, we had a weird flood, and then the setting up of the room took longer than it was supposed to, and then the cameraman's and the DOP's card had a malfunction and lost a load of footage. So basically, I was in the position all day where I was just having to apologize to people all day. Like, I'm really sorry, but it's going to be longer. I'm sorry, but we're not going to be able to let you go until a lot later than we thought. I'm so sorry, but we're going to have to do that again. You know, we just had this rotten luck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if it was just as an artist, they're great, because you're basically waiting around, hanging out with your mates, and then you get to go and perform and do what you do. But it's different for me because, you know, when things run over, it's my fault because I did the schedule. And there's no sitting around and hanging out for me. You know, I'm being pulled in a million different directions all day, every day by everybody. Like when we do Empty Bed and Ghost of Stores Hall and Death of a Dream, I'm just going to be like, woohoo, I'm not in it. Yeah. You know, I'm going to just be there in my Jurassic Park t-shirt saying, put that down, action, cut, do that again.
You can see how giddy you are to film those. You're just like, yes.
I know, it's going to be so good.
So what's next for you? What's coming up? Is it these videos? Is there an album with all these songs on going to be out?
Yeah, so the EP is out now, and you can buy it. So the single's out on Spotify, Open Letter to Death, but you can buy the EP with 4 other arranged finished tracks on and 2 demos on. That's just on my store, oliviahyde.co.uk/shop. There's the t-shirt, there's the lyric sheets, there's the costumes and souvenirs from the music video as well, and we're selling those basically so that we can make the next one. And next is Empty Bed music video. After that, Death of a Dream video. And then I'm planning a live show for the 4th of February in Huddersfield. And I'm already written the songs for the next EP, which is going to be called An Open Letter to Living. So that's a bit more about, like, you know, An Open Letter to Death is more about the grief and the bereavement process, and thinking about, you know, what death really means. And then the next EP is going to be a bit more like, right now I'm gonna live and what it means to be alive.
Incredible.
So I've got a lot.
A lot
I want to do.
Have you missed touring, like playing shows and stuff like that? Have you missed?
Not really.
No.
No, like I did a show here a couple of weeks ago because my studio's massive, so I just kit it out, and there's my beautiful Steinway Grand in here as well. And one of my fans who's known me a long time and supported everything I do, has watched every interview I've ever had. I was actually quite impressed. He came up and he went, "So you know you're doing this from your house?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Is it because you'd just rather not leave the house unless you have to?" I was like, "Yeah, that's it. That's literally why." Literally
you
why.
know me, number one super fan. You know
You
me.
absolutely know me so well. That is exactly why I'm doing it in my home, because if you don't have to leave the house, why would you?
Well,
You know, so no,
true.
I don't miss touring. I don't miss the waking up at the crack of dawn to drive to a venue where they said they have a dressing room, but they mean it's like the staff room or whatever. And then the sound guy talking to you like shit. And then, you know, setting up merch and talking to endless streams of people. Not really. No. I will tour again, absolutely. But that is something where I need to have a certain head on. You know, I don't like to do odd gigs. I find it very it's like emotional whiplash. I like to be in a groove when I'm touring. Yeah. So, you know, I do enjoy touring when I'm touring, because it's like I've got one thing to do. But no, I don't miss it. I quite like being at home. I know. But I can do a lot from home. I write my songs, I arrange. I'm doing it like this because I'm in my studio. I write my songs there, I arrange them there, and I pretty much direct them here. Because so much of the direction is done before a shoot. 99.9% of it's done before a shoot.
Amazing. Tom, have you got any more questions you want to ask?
I do. I have one more I'd like to ask, which is, did you ever think that your life would turn out the way it has? Do you ever think you'd be here doing this, making these music videos, creating these massive pieces of art and doing your music, etc.?
Sometimes when I have a bad day, you know, when I think I wish I had a bigger budget for this, or, you know, I wish I didn't have to do this, or etc. I think back to myself at, say, 19 or 20, you know, when I was just a massive insecurities and self-hatred and demons and caring too much what everybody thought about me, even just the people in the fucking pub, you know, do they like me? Am I cool? Am I popular? You know, etc. And sometimes I do think, imagine saying to that girl, that poor, sad, lonely 19-year-old girl who thought that she was just a pretty face, you know, and if she couldn't be that, she couldn't be anything. She was only as good as what everybody else told her she was. And say, you know what, in 10 years, you're not only going to be fronting a band, you're going to be singing songs that you wrote, and you'll have just made your first music video. And I can just imagine that 19-year-old going, fuck off. A chance. Like, no way. But then if she realized that this person was telling the truth, she would probably tear up and be absolutely moved by the fact that she's done this. So there's so much, don't get me wrong, I've still got my feet in the ground. There's so much more that I want to do, and so many more things I want to be better at. But yeah, when I have a bad day, I think about myself as a much younger woman, thinking who genuinely believed there was no way that she could have gone and done all these things.
I can't think of a more beautiful way to end a conversation. That was absolutely amazing. Fair play. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But before we let you go, we do have a little game we like to play, if that is okay with you.
Okay. Oh, one more thing. Andre, why don't you come and just say a quick hello? We just do a little game and then we're done.
Oh, I don't have to play the game.
No, you don't have to play the game, don't worry. So, hi, this is Andre. And
hello.
He's my DOP partner. So I made Blood and Rust with Andre's DOP and Hookline and Open Letter. So that's him.
A man knows how to budget £20. Like it.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I'll be in a sec. Right. Okay. Let's play then.
We like to play a little game. It's called the quick fire round. We literally ask you 5 questions and you answer them as quick as you can.
Okay.
Nice and simple.
Ready.
And it's easy to know the answers because they're all about you.
Okay.
First off, favorite pizza topping?
It's very specific. It's green chilies, feta cheese, and olives.
Oh, you ruined it with olives. I was like, yes. Oh.
My second favourite is mushrooms.
Yes.
Oh, nice
I love pizza. It's one of my favourites.
Oh.
The first ever concert you went to?
Roxette.
Nice.
Yeah. In fact, I would wager Roxette fans could even hear the influence of Marie Fredkinson on my singing.
Your favourite joke to tell?
Ooh, my favourite joke to tell. I don't know many jokes. What do you call Postman Pat on what do you call Postman Pat on holiday?
I don't know.
Pat.
For fuck's sake. I like that. That's good. I like that.
The moment this is over, I'll think of a better fucking joke. Oh, I've got another one. Right. So a grandma goes to the doctors and she says, "What's the diagnosis, doctor?" And he says, "Ma'am, you have acute angina." She says, "Yes, and my tits aren't bad either."
Fantastic.
I like that.
Now.
Who would play you in the movie of your life?
Well, this is something Andre and I talk about all the time. Like, if I think she'd probably be too old now because my story would obviously start really when I was 19 and I started modelling. But I love Carey Mulligan. I think I love Carey Mulligan. She played the main role in Suffragette, and she was also the main role in A Promising Young Woman. I've always just really liked her, but I think we're actually a similar age, so that ain't going to work. But
CGI, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's been. Well, I think it's been one of those faces I go, "Oh yes," because off the top of my head, I'm like, but I think if I looked, I'd be like, "Yeah, I know who that is."
And last but not least, if you could get in a time machine, go back in time and give one piece of advice to young Miss Olivia Hyde, what would that be?
It would be, I wouldn't maybe just say one thing, but it would more or less be when people put you down and tell you you can't do something, it generally says more about them than it does about you.
That's awesome.
That is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Olivia, this has been amazing. Before we let you go, though, have you got any plugs, social medias you want people to go check out?
Well, Facebook's probably the one that I use the most. So it's just facebook.com/Olivia Hyde official or Olivia Hyde official. To really be a part of my inner circle, it's Patreon. So it's just patreon.com/Olivia Hyde. And that's, you really go on the journey with me there. Like before Up and Letter to Death came out, my Patreons had seen every set, every costume. They'd even seen storyboards. I'd have a monthly meeting with them and update them on the casting. You know, when Clive Russell signed on, we celebrated together, you know, because it's just the behind the scenes. I mean, for one thing, I just sort of don't assume the average fan necessarily gives a shit about hearing like a demo, or they heard the demo of Final Kiss when halfway through I went, or something like that. So that's if you really want the behind the scenes, the demos, the props lists, the plans, the everything, it's Patreon. Otherwise, Facebook is probably your best bet.
Wonderful. Olivia, this has been absolutely sensational. I've loved every second of it. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thanks.
Not at all. Thank you for doing it.
It's been amazing.
Right, I'm going to go and have my dinner and cuddle my dog.
Enjoy. Right, you deserve it. Hey, Jamie, do you like being cozy?
I do.
And do you like staying cozy?
I like that even more.
Then just heading over to www.staycozyclothing.com,
where you can find hoodies, tees, sweaters, and much, much more.
and just enter The Chronicles as one word at checkout to receive 10% off your order.
And make sure you follow them on the Instagram at Stay Cozy Clothing to keep up to date with all the new designs.
Remember, guys, that's The Chronicles as one word at checkout to receive 10% off your order. And now back to this week's episode.
Absolutely stunning. Just
Hilarious.
an incredible.
Hilarious woman as well.
Absolutely.
But she's so lovely, and everyone needs to go support Olivia. Go check out her projects. Go check out Open Letter to Death. Keep an eye out on our social media for what's to come next, and get involved on her Patreon. Is it Patreon she's on as well?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, get involved in her Patreon as well, and let's just let's give this independent artist some much needed love. She's a wonderful human,
and has got some amazing things in the pipeline as she discussed in the show. So, like Tom said, make sure you're following her and check out everything she does.
And we loved interviewing her, so hopefully you guys enjoy listening to it and now watching it as much as we did recording it.
Hi, I'm Frank Guglielmelli, and I'm the narrator for some wonderful audio dramas from Syscast, like Marty and Mars, Bounty Hunters, and a great part in Val Toby, with much more to come. You can find these programs on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, or head over to our website, www.syscast.com. We are excited to announce that we are now affiliated with the Chronicles of Podcast with Tom and Jamie.